Hi there, welcome back to Aidans Railways. It's another one of the J94 Longmoor military videos. This time it's on renumbering. I've got 3 of them here that need renumbering. There are some more, but I thought I'd focus on these 3 because we've had them out recently. One had a motor change, there's some work to do on another one still, and there's some modifications that have got to take place to sort of get them to where I want them, as well as nameplates and things. But today it's about renumbering them, and this isn't you have to do it this way, this is the only way you do it, or anything like that. This is just, I'm sharing a video to let you know how I'm going to tackle renumbering these locos. Any bits and pieces that I've used during this, I'll put them in the description so you know where to get them from if you choose to, you know, tackle it this way. But this is just how I'm going to do it, so I hope it's some help to you. If not, just a bit of entertainment watching me do it, because it could go massively wrong, we don't know. But yes, enjoy. So down here on the bench, and you can see I have got 3 of the cabs off J94's that I'm going to be working on. As I said in a previous video when I was changing a motor, they do slip off. Once you've undone the screws, they will just slip off. Providing, if they're second hand, providing the previous keeper hasn't glued them to the rest of the shell, they should just slip off. As you can see from these 3, we've got 2 with larger, bolder numbers on, and the 3rd has a much smaller number. I'm going to try and keep them all about this size. I'm going to leave the crest on there. I'm not going to remove that at all. In other models, I have used various techniques to remove the numbers. Some involve using solvents, but sometimes it can, depending on the model and how old it is and things like that, can damage the plastic, can even damage the surrounding paint. Some people have used the fibre pens, which is a good one as well. It wouldn't be too bad on this, providing the actual moulding was blue as opposed to painted blue, and I can tell you that the actual moulding isn't blue. It looks like it's blue, but it's not. If you scratch down hard enough, you will get black. Took a little bit off there, and as soon as some black started to appear, I stopped. So I can tell you now that the actual plastic is black. It's not blue. So that left me with a few other options and, well, decisions, you could say. It left me with a few other decisions, and I had to come up with what I was going to do. Luckily, I keep a lot of paints. All of the paints that I buy, I don't use them all the time. They're for specific jobs. And trying to match Hornby's blue for this Longmoor it's actually really quite hard. When you're using the Longmoor blue, say for instance with Bachmann, it tends to be rather, well, it might even be the L&ER Oxford blue, but that is very much the blue that appears. We're trying to match that, as in trying to find a rail paint or something like that that's close. It's very hard. It's nowhere near the same blue. Obviously blue fades over time and things like that, like any other colour. And even in real life they would have been faded, so having 2 shades of blue doesn't faze me at all on the layout. However, by pure coincidence, you'll have seen this possibly before in some of my other videos, is this Humbrol Acrylic Matte 25. I used it when I was painting the crew for my Battle of Britain locomotives, and I've used it ever since on other crew members that I've been painting to put into locos and things like that. By pure chance, I wouldn't say it's a perfect match when you're painting, but if you're dry brushing it, it is very, very, very close. There's actually a little bit of yellow showing there because I purposely didn't cover it all just to show where it was actually at. But when you bring it up, it is very, 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 very close. You can just see the letters coming through now. So my plan today, because I purchased a few sets of more transfers from Fox. These are the ones I'm going to be using today. I have lots and lots and lots of different ones I've used for different projects, but these are the ones I'm going to be using today because of their height, the boldness of them and so on. I will point out that I am not using the number 1 when I need a 1. I'm actually going to use the lowercase l because it is perfectly straight. We don't have any of the embellishments like we do on the 1 there, but all the rest of the numbers are perfectly fine, and they measure up absolutely spot on. When I was checking to see which ones I actually wanted, I did use my vernier calipers to measure them up. Incidentally, when you do buy from Fox, if you haven't before, they usually send out a brief or small catalogue of all of the different typefaces with them, so if you're not 100% sure when you do get something, you have a tendency to get that anyway. You can see it all online, and that's what I use, but sometimes that actually comes in handy to sort of as a reference, if you know what I mean. But these are the transfers I'm going to use. I have picked the numbers. I'm not going to say what they are right now. I'll come to that in the video. So what I'm actually going to do is a bit of dry brushing. I'm not going to be brushing the whole cab sides. I don't want to lose the lining, for instance. If we look at this, I really don't want to lose the lining or anything like that. I'll pick a different cab. There we go. There is lining on there, you can see it. Don't want to lose it. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to mask around the 3 numbers very closely on all of the cab sides, and then I'm literally going to dry brush. Dry brushing was new to me, I don't know, about a year or so back. I'd seen it, I've seen other people use it, and I'd read about it, and it actually is a very, 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 very good idea for something like this, because it won't take long to dry for starters. You're not putting tons of paint on, so you're not looking at runs and things like that. It's just going to mask over the numbers that are there, because these numbers will hide what is there. They will hide it straight away, and you won't get that bleeding over if you mask up and dry brush it, or at least that's the plan anyway. Like I say, I've had a little experiment on one and it seems to be looking good. So I've picked one of the cabs. I've got some basic ordinary masking tape, no modeller's masking tape. I haven't got any in, I'm just going to use what I've got available. I've used a cheap craft knife and I've got a metal rule, and all I've done is cut strips relatively thin. I'm getting about 5 strips out of each width of tape, and I'm only cutting them about 1.5 inches in length. That's just to make it easier for myself, and all I'm going to do is mask up around the actual number. So there you go, you can see I've got all 3 cab sides, or all 3 cabs on both sides, all masked up. Now it's just for the dry brushing. So what I need to get a hold of is my paint, a donor brush, which I've cut right down so it's short stipples there, some tissue, and it'll be about time to start. Right, so I've got my blue paint, I've shaken it and stirred it really well. I've got some cheap toilet tissue there. We've got the masked up cabs. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick up a little bit of paint, and then I'm just going to get it so that it's virtually nothing left on it. Put a bit on. I don't need to completely cover it. I can still see the numbers through that one, but I can come back over again. So I'm just literally dry brushing what's there. It'll slowly cover it. Well, this is how I'm doing it. This isn't necessarily you must do it this way technique. It's just how I'm doing it, and the proof will be at the end when I put the transfers on. And because it's dry brushing, it'll be drying really very quickly because there's very little paint there. So that's the first coat. I can still see the numbers through that. It might not pick it up that well on the camera, but I can still see the numbers through that dry coat. I'm going to let that dry, and then I'm just going to give it another bit more dry brush again, and then I'll switch over to the other side, do the same on that side, and then I'll come back to you when they're all covered. So it's come to that time to remove the tape. So there's no point in doing it slow-mo because I've got 3 of them to do. So what I'll do is I'll time lapse it again. I'm just going to gently take off the tape. Remember, it's never going to be perfect, but I know that it's all going to be hidden by the new numbers anyway. So we'll give it a go, and we'll see how we get on. So there we go. Peel the tape off all of them. They're not looking too bad. I can obviously see the shade difference depending on the screen that you're watching this on. You'll probably be able to see it, you might not be able to see it, but I'm not worried because I know that the vast majority of any imperfections are going to be hidden by the new transfers. Plus, they're not all going to be left pristine. There's going to be a bit of weathering going on as well. Not initially today, but definitely there'll be some weathering down the line. Also, like I say, the transfers are coming up. I'm going to do them, so I'm going to leave them a little bit longer, and I'm going to get everything ready, and I'm going to get the book for the 3 numbers that I've actually decided to do, and I'll get to putting the transfers on. So I've got to the stage now where I've actually cut out all of the numbers that I require. Like I said before, I'm using the lowercase L's instead of 1s for a 1 on this locomotive, and this is the reason why. You can see there that it's a completely straight 1. There's no embellishments. You might remember this one. This is one of the ones that I put the etched nameplates on. So we've got Errol Lonsdale here. I've got this out purely to use as a reference for when I'm locating the numbers on the cabs. So I'm going to have that to one side as I do it. We've got all 3 cabs ready and waiting to have the new numbers fitted, and what I've actually done is, and I'm going to use the ruler here because I don't want to lose any bits, I have all of the numbers set out for each locomotive that I'm going to do at the side ready. I don't want to be coughing or anything like that and then sending letters and numbers across the room. What I've chosen to go with is 107, which is foggier, 181, which is ensign, and 203, which is AWAS. So that'll be another 3 locos. I'll do it in time lapse, actually fitting them. I did do it in real time on the Battle of Britain one, so if you want to see it in real time fitting a transfer, flick across to that. You'll probably get it anyway from the time lapse video, so I wouldn't worry too much. All I'm going to do is I'm going to have some hot water in a plastic bowl, and when I say hot, I don't mean boiling. I mean hot enough so you can put your finger in it and leave it there, but it does need to be hot, and you just want the tiniest drop of washing up liquid, which just helps the actual transfer separate from the backing paper. I'll be using a pair of tweezers and another piece of this metal rod. You don't have to use a pair of tweezers. I find it a bit easier for picking it up and putting it in and out of the water. You don't have to use a metal rod to manipulate and move it around. In fact, I might even get a cocktail stick out, because normally I would use a cocktail stick, but it's just for manipulation to move it around and get it where you want it. I have got a tub of the cotton bud sticks, and that's just to take up any water that's lying on the model when I put the transfer on, so it can soak it up and get it out of the way. I'll do a single number on the cab side, I'll move on to the next cab side and do a single number on that, and I'll do the same on the next cab side, and then I'll come back to the beginning again. There are 3 numbers on each cab respectively, but I need to give it time to stick and bond each time I do a number. As well as that, then I'll have to flick it over, do the opposite side. So there's my soapy water, and it is just a drop. I'm going to try my hardest so that you can see what I'm doing, but please understand that it is a bit difficult with the having to lean over and all that kind of stuff, but hopefully you'll get the gist of what I'm doing. So there you go, that's one side done, and now I need to move on to the other side. I won't time lapse that, I'll just get on with it, and as soon as I've done it I'll come back to you, and we'll go putting them back onto the way. I'll put some varnish on, I'll show you what I do with that, and then I'll put them back onto the bodies of the logos, and then we'll see what they look like. So there we are, you can see the numbers are all on, they've dried on both sides. All I'm going to do is just seal them up now with a little bit of Humbrol acrylic 135. It's just like a lacquer varnish. I believe, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I believe it's either, I think it might be a matte finish. All I'm going to do, similar to when I did the paint before, I'm just putting a very small amount on, and almost dry brushing it on. You could use an aerosol from a distance, and that would work just as well. Using the matte dries quite quickly, but using the matte, it just means it's going to blend in fairly reasonably with the original paintwork. Like I said, it's just a seal, just to seal the transfers in place. That's all it takes, tiny little bit. You can see it at the moment probably, but I'm going to let that dry, and then I'll put them back onto the logo bodies, and then you can have a look at them finished. So there we have it. There's 203, all renumbered, and we've got 181 over here, and we've got 107. Incidentally, also I have painted the buffer bars, or buffer beams I should say. It did occur to me all of a sudden that 2 of the logos from new actually had the original numbers still on them, so I've removed them. They can go on at a later date. There's Errol Lonsdale that we put the etched plates on the other day. The rest are all packed away. Maybe I'll do a video at some point with all of them together. There's still modifications to go on with these. Things like Westinghouse pumps on ones that did have them. Etched name plates need to be fitted. I believe 107 Foggier, 181 in sign, and 203 will be a ROS. So I've got them to do, and we'll be revisiting one of these locos. I can't remember which one it is now. I'll have to have a look. I think it might be 107. 107 is the one that has actually got quite a significant amount of damage, although you wouldn't think it to look at it. Is also the motor wants replacing because the worm gear's goosed on it. I'm going to have to extend the wires in preparation for DCC, but you'll see why in that video. Like I said at the very beginning, this isn't a how-to, you must do it this way. This is just a video showing you how I have approached renumbering these locos. If it assists you in any way, I hope you find this helpful. You might be able to take something away from this and use it in something else. You might have other ways of doing it, but all I wanted to do was share with you how I was going to start renumbering these locos. Obviously we've got more tucked away and they're going to need doing, but I wasn't going to do a video doing the whole lot. I just thought I would do a video to show you how I was going to tackle these three. But we'll be revisiting 107 soon, and you'll see if I manage to get this one back into full running condition. So hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe. It'd be good to hear from you. Let me know what you think of how I've tackled this, and like I say, I'll see you again soon in the next video. So bye for now.